Good morning, Kitchissippi. It is Sunday, June the 9th. This is a video version of the Kitchissippi Ward Weekly Newsletter, number 394. A reminder that you can sign up for the weekly email newsletter at kitchissippiward.ca. Lots more information about the topics and issues that we'll discuss this morning. Let's jump right in. I'm hosting pop-up office hours this week. That's going to be tomorrow, Monday, June 10th, from noon until 3 p.m. at Iona Park. That's just off of Wesley. Come on by. Pop-up office hours are a chance to drop in anytime during those hours without appointment to chat with me one-on-one about whatever is on your mind. I don't have a weather backup plan tomorrow, so if it's raining really heavy beyond what we can be protected from just by the umbrella tables, we'll just cancel those. But fingers crossed for good weather. An important couple of open houses coming up with respect to the connection from the new Civic Campus Hospital at Dow's Lake to the LRT station at Dow's Lake. That's been a significant discussion. Both I, the city, the community want to see a fast and easy way for people who are disembarking and embarking on the trains to get to the hospital campus. We're counting on a lot of people to use public transit in order to be able to mitigate some of the traffic impacts associated with the new hospital. There's going to be a couple of open houses. One of those is going to be virtual, which will be on June the 4th from 6 until 8:30 p.m. It is virtual. There's a link in the newsletter about how you can register for that. And then on June 25th, there will also be an open house that's going to be held at Tom Brown Arena in the evening. The virtual session is going to offer a Q&A. There won't be a Q&A or presentation at the in-person session. Get more details about both of those consultations in the newsletter. Second reminder, probably my last one, that the new comprehensive zoning bylaw maps have been released. So those are the maps that demonstrate at a very granular level what the zoning is proposed to be for any given property in the city. It's a huge document. It's complex. It's going to take a long time for everybody to nibble away at it to understand exactly what it all means. Steph, Alice, and I have been talking to community leaders. We have a table coming up to further discuss the zoning bylaw, I think, in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, residents have been writing to us asking us what is proposed for my property and my neighbor's property. Those have been very helpful as we try to get the nuance of where the dividing lines are between mid-rise and high-rise and low-rise, between low-rise that allows apartment buildings, low-rise that doesn't. If you're interested, write to me, jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca. Give us a while, but as we look through all these different inquiries, we're getting a much better idea of what the different boundaries are for the zoning that's been proposed for Kitchissippi Ward. There are a couple of, there's going to be lots of engagement opportunities to talk about the zoning bylaw over the course of really the next year and a half or so. But the one that's coming up fairly soon is the June 20th virtual open house that's going to be held from 6:30 until 8 p.m. It's hosted by the city. There's a link in the newsletter for how you can sign up for that. Also in the newsletter this week, I have to provide deep apologies. In my newsletter last week, I mentioned that Sharps kits would be available at the Rosemount branch of the Ottawa Library. They're not. Those Sharps kits are going to be available as a pilot through the Rosemount branch of the Somerset West Community Health Centre. Sharps kits are basically it's a container into which you can put discarded needles, tongs, gloves. They're going to be distributed through SWCHC on a pilot basis in order to assist residents who want to clean discarded needles up from private property. There's more information in the newsletter about that pilot. In the newsletter as well this week, I've posted the new housing numbers for Ottawa from the CMHC. Very broadly speaking, starts were way down year over year, but the number of completions in April 2024 were higher, significantly higher than in April of 2023. So a mixed bag there. The under construction numbers, the number of units in Ottawa that are currently under construction, had been climbing for quite some time. I think we're starting to see that on a gently declining downward trend right now. Take a look at all the numbers on kitchissippiward.ca website. I have a link in the newsletter. Also in this week's newsletter, I have a link to the proposed new solid waste master plan. I think everyone is aware by now we're going to run out of room at the Trail Road facility somewhere in 2034, 2035. We need to extend the life of that facility. The solid waste master plan is a description of the cost of doing that. One of the big decisions that is not being made as part of the solid waste master plan, however, but which is yet to come in this term of council, is what we're going to do long term. City staff have been looking at what they're calling technologies. Essentially, we could build an incinerator that would generate energy, or we could move to something called mixed waste processing, which is sort of a single source stream of waste from which various technology means and human means are used to sort the waste such that it is properly diverted. That report is not going to be coming for some time yet, but in the meantime, there is some costing as well as a new fee structure. Right now, you pay for your curbside garbage collection really through two ways. There's the fee that's very explicitly identified on your tax bill, but there is also a portion of your property taxes that go toward curbside collection. City staff are proposing to move that to an entirely fee-based system. Lots more information in the newsletter. I'm looking forward to hearing your views on that, and I'm sure we'll chat more about that in the near future. In terms of community events going on, Social Sundays in Wellington West is happening all summer. There's going to be various different program opportunities throughout Wellington West every Sunday here in the ward. It's all free. I've got details in the newsletter running from May 26th until September 15th. Those events move ahead, rain or shine. And I'm standing in Parkdale Park on the Pat McLeod Community Stage, where next Saturday the Hintonburg Community Association is hosting this always popular Arts Park event. Yes, Lucky Ron will be here. There's going to be a beer garden. There's vendors. There's an art happening, or the Happening Art Throwdown, the main stage entertainment. Lots of activities next Saturday. It happens, rain or shine. Visit the newsletter or hintonburg.com for more details. We've got a busy legislative agenda at City Hall, as we usually do in June. So here are the meetings that are coming up. There is a joint environment and climate change, as well as planning and housing committee meeting, the details of which are not available yet online, but that's going to be on June 20th to take a look at the new infrastructure master plan. There are hundreds of millions of dollars of projects that have been proposed to be built in order to support growth, some of it within the Greenbelt, some of it within the serviced area, some of it in Greenfield. This will be a very controversial topic. I have lots of thoughts about it, but that is going to be coming up on June the 20th. I'll make sure I point to the details when those are available. The Audit Committee is going to meet on June 10th, that's tomorrow, to receive the Auditor General's audits and recommendations for the city's purchasing card program, as well as for the Climate Change Master Plan. So a couple of big items at Audit Committee tomorrow. The Built Heritage Committee is going to meet on June the 11th. It's got a full agenda that includes, particularly for our ward, something that's really important is the recommendation to pursue a feasibility study on declaring Island Park Drive, as well as portions of Hintonburg coming off of Wellington Wellington Street West as heritage conservation districts. I support both. There's details in the newsletter. It would be a while before those get underway, but protecting more of the heritage of Kitchissippi is important, I think, to all of us. City Council is going to meet on June the 12th. I don't think that's going to be a particularly complex or challenging meeting, but Ottawa Community Housing will be doing its annual general meeting for the shareholder, that's us, at that meeting. I expect that we're going to hear city councillors, certainly me, ask a lot of questions about how our housing strategy, housing first strategy is working with OCH. If I can just point to one of the lines that was in the Ottawa Community Housing Annual Report. Over the course of 2023, OCH provided evidence that clearly shows that the current model of housing, tenants with unknown complex needs and histories and inadequate or non-existent support, is failing. The city has, to its credit, undertaken a real thrust to get people out of shelter and into housing. But one of the things we need when we pursue that course is supports in that new housing housing to ensure that tenancies are successful. Councillors right across the city, including myself, hear a lot directly from tenants when clients who have complex mental health needs, addictions issues, who are coming directly out of chronic homelessness, are put into Ottawa community housing without the supports that will help ensure that those tenancies are successful. And sometimes that has effects on all the other residents in the building. So they have a strategy with which they're going to try to deal with this, but it's clear that more supports and more funding are needed. I expect that will be the main topic of discussion at Wednesday's council meeting. On June the 13th, there's going to be a meeting of the Transit Commission. We just had a very kind of intense joint meeting of the Transit Commission and LRT subcommittee, getting an in-camera legal briefing from our lawyers. I expect that the next Transit Commission meeting is going to be significantly less intense as we receive an update from OC Transpo on its operations for Para and for the bus service, as well as for Line 1. We're going to receive a status report on the operating and capital budgets, which are obviously concerning, as well as a relatively routine report that does the year-end capital project closures. So all the details to that, the full agenda, are in my newsletter. There's also going to be the Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee and Environment and Climate Change Committee joint meeting to take a look at the proposed new wildlife strategy. There's a number of actions that have been proposed there. I know councillors have a lot of questions about whether we're going far enough in terms of wildlife protection. It's more of a report than I can summarize in this quick video, but certainly I think there's going to be some concern on the part of councillors that we are not doing enough to protect wildlife in various different scenarios, including development scenarios. So expect to hear a lot more about that in the lead up to that joint committee meeting that would be on June the 17th, going to a council vote on June the 26th. The Emergency Preparedness and Protective Services Committee is going to meet on June 17th. It's got a workaday agenda that includes receiving the reports, the annual reports from our paramedic service and from our firefighter service. I'm sure by now everyone has read about the serious challenges that are facing our paramedics associated with hospital wait times and the impact that that has on their ability to deliver timely services to residents who need it. So I anticipate that we'll hear more about the paramedic service over the course of the next couple of weeks. I had on April 19th another one of my Aging Well in Kitchissippi forums. More than 140 of you attended that. It was on housing issues. Really well attended, great discussion. I was hoping to follow that up with a discussion on security issues in June, but I'm afraid I've just run out of bandwidth to try to host that. We'll host it in the fall, but I have been pointed to an event that is taking place at Churchill Senior Centre there's a picture. I think it's this week. There is an Aging Well event, or Wellness in Kitchissippi, Wellness in Westboro event that's going to be at Churchill Seniors. That's this week. I'm sorry, I don't have the details with me immediately, but take a look at the newsletter for that, and I'm sure many of you will want to be in attendance. Kitchissippi, that's the newsletter for this week. I thank you very much for watching, and have a great week.